Awesome. Thanks so much, Taryn. And hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Davidson. I'm the CEO and founder of Beacon HR. I lead a team of amazing recruitment and retention strategists. Kira's on the call with me here today. Hi, Kira. And we get to help businesses find and nurture world-class high-performing teams. I am a total people geek. I'm actually celebrating my 10-year anniversary in talent acquisition. And I've worked on everything from staffing up a social media startup here in Vancouver to hiring rocket scientists, literally. I want to thank you all so much for choosing our session and taking time out of your day to join us. And I also want to thank Taryn and the Vancouver Startup Week team. I think connection and learning and community is even more important right now as we're going through this pandemic. And I really appreciate all of your hard work in coordinating and scheduling and making Vancouver Startup Week happen virtually this year. So thank you to all of you. Taryn mentioned on the sidebar, so yes, absolutely, we would love to know who's on the call. Please don't be shy, introduce yourself. We'd love to know a little bit about you and your companies. And then if we have time at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A. So please feel free to share your questions there. We'll be monitoring those. So let's jump right in. I know that every single one of us has loved watching these three companies grow over the past several years in Vancouver and beyond. And my hope is that you're going to leave this session with some ideas and maybe some great actionable takeaways to take back to your own organizations. I really, for the sake of this panel, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. And I wanted to bring together different perspectives from each of these companies. So I'm really happy to introduce you to our three panelists. We have Aman Mann, the CEO at Procurify. Hi, Aman. We have Amanda Nagy. She is the Senior Manager of People Operations at Thinkific. And Min FitzGerald, the Director of Product Marketing at Clio. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. Awesome. So, Amanda, I want to start with you. So, first of all, congrats on your huge $22 million raise. That was a big announcement yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So, for anyone who doesn't know you, could you please give us a tiny bit of background on Thinkific and your role there?
Yeah, so Thinkific is an online learning platform. So we basically empower modern course creators to build and sell online courses. So for the most part, this is an extension of a lot of things that they may be doing in person, and especially with the pandemic, a lot have had to switch to teaching online. In terms of my role at Thinkific, so I've been there for about 3.5 years. I oversee the people operations team, which I'm very excited has doubled since the pandemic. So we've got 3 awesome team members now that sit within our core team. But ultimately what I focus on is I've been supporting with a lot of recruitment. I deal a lot with software and tooling, and really empowering and ensuring that our team members can do their best work and have the resources and tools to do that. So it's pretty exciting, and especially now knowing our team is really growing with all this funding that we've got, it's a really exciting time for us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congrats again. And Aman, in speaking with you on our prep call, the topic of a 4-day work week came up. Really excited to jump in and learn more about how your team's exploring that. But first, could you please take a quick minute, introduce Procurify for anyone who hasn't heard of what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Nicole. There's a bunch of misfits that fit with each other, just a unique group of people that I'm so in love with working with. We're really focusing on our passion, which is helping great organizations be successful with managing their money. We say that, to build a great organization that have great ideas, it takes money, so manage it well. So we are focused on building a platform where organizations can approve, track, manage, and budget all spending inside their organizations. So our focus is on forward-thinking organizations so that we can make sure that we can give them the utmost chance at winning on their mission.
Awesome. And last but not least, Min, Clio is distributed by design. We're excited to hear more about that. But first, could you please tell us what Clio does and what your role is in attracting, hiring, and retaining great talent there?
Sure. So I'm the director product marketing at Clio. Clio's really trying to transform the practice of law for good. And what that means is that we actually help law firms manage their practice. And actually right now, we've been trying to get lawyers to get online onto the cloud for the last 10 years. And with the pandemic, it's actually accelerated a lot of the uptake and really needing this today more than ever. So we do everything from helping you take your storage shelves and turning that to be accessible for all your documents online, helping you bill and still manage your time, see your clients online via Zoom, etc. So that's all done within the platform.
Awesome. And I just met one of your customers for the first time, having been in Vancouver for my whole life, last several years, and they had nothing but awesome things to say about using Clio. So that was very cool to hear. Awesome. And Aman, is your team, can you tell us, are you 100% remote? Are you hybrid? And what do your plans for the future look like?
Yes. Since March, we did go fully remote. So 0 to 100, like immediately everyone kind of went home and tried to figure out at the best of our ability what to do with the state we were in. Super proud of the team coming together and finding the right, resolutions and solutions to obviously the challenges of going immediately remote. And we found a lot of success through the process of the last months. And we actually have maintained and kept remote, or what we want to call it, distributed teams. I don't really want to label it as remote or not remote because we really want to be flexible in our environment. So we do have some space open for anybody to use at the office, with obviously managing the expectancy of COVID and the structure that's been given for that. But it really is exciting to open us up to a world we've been wanting to go to, which is global. And build a community across the world where you just have great talent and great people that are really hungry to support a purpose or a mission that they believe in. And allowing it to open up outside of the world is wonderful, but we're still passionate about Vancouver and growing the tech space here and building people here up to become great leaders themselves.
Cool. So what I'm taking from that is flexible. Yes, you're remote, but flexible. The hub is there, the space is there. Very cool. Amanda, how about the Thinkific team?
Yeah, I'd say we're quite similar. So for the most part, we've been distributed since March. I think a big change for us is that we've actually started hiring a lot of permanent distributed team members since the pandemic, whereas we were very Vancouver-based before then. So we similarly have a space where our team members can go to if they are local, that they want to go in on any given day. We were very lucky that we also had renovations happening kind of in tandem. So it was a good excuse to keep our office closed for a little bit and actually get some of that work done quickly. But right now, like even looking to the future, we don't know when we're going to be reopening or what that timeline is yet. So we've really taken that distributed first approach and making sure what we've noticed over time is that the longer we've been distributed, the more we're getting requests for different work from home setups, because now people have figured out what's working and what's not. So just constantly adapting there.
Mm-hmm. What is the most remote or the most surprising place that you've hired a new team member from? Like, are you finding a little pocket of talent in, I don't know, Thunder Bay or anywhere like that?
I think we have 2 team members now that are in New Brunswick. So that was an interesting one. So we've got 2 in New Brunswick, quite a few in Ottawa that have joined us, a lot from Toronto. And just kind of, it's just been really cool to see how much of an impact a lot of these team members have had that are outside of Vancouver. Just opening up our talent pool has really made such a big impact on our company.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. And Min, how about the Clio team?
So we went remote, like very similarly to the other that I'm hearing about between Procurify and Thinkific. So I think early March we went 100% remote, and we're doing something called distributed by design, which is we're trying to have flexibility with the way that keeping our hub office is still open. So Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, Dublin are some of the locations that remain to have offices, but right now no one's in them because we're waiting for it to be safer. But in the meanwhile, we're creating little project teams across the entire organization to assess how we should meaningfully do this and what kind of flexible ways that we should create for employees to be most engaged and productive and happy in a distributed by design world. So that work is still ongoing today, and we're assessing things day by day as things change.
And Min, your team, I know that, well, all of you your companies have been growing through the pandemic. You're all hiring right now as of today. Min, what have you learned from hiring through a pandemic, and how have these changes affected your recruitment efforts?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's been really cool, to be honest, because for the first time, we're really able to see candidates at a breadth across the country. And so, we're hiring not only in Vancouver, but, Calgary and Toronto and other hub areas. And Amanda, you mentioned just people coming from, talent coming from all over. And the opportunity has been really to see the breadth and diversity in our talent. Like, I feel like our recruitment process has been much more diverse simply by increasing that talent pool, like both in skill set, but actual more diverse candidates coming in. So that's been super exciting as someone that's wanting to grow a very diverse team and having that as a core value. And then the other thing is I did hire members of my team completely in a Zoom remote environment, onboarded them in that environment. And it's been really cool rethinking the onboarding process a bit more to make sure that people feel welcome, but they are up to speed, and we communicate well with them throughout that time.
Mm-hmm. Aman, I'm going to ask you the same question. So what have you learned, or what's one thing that you've learned through the pandemic as it ties to recruitment or virtual onboarding? I think that's really interesting too.
Yeah, well, you gave me some good feedback on our recruitment of putting up our 4-day work week thing, and
Yeah.
so I appreciated that. It's been an interesting journey. This psychology of humans and the way we interact with change, and I think COVID, painful in the way to see the world struggle with it, but then also see the compassion come out of it, and I think a really positive side to an outcome being change, and the way we've seen change and people adapt to the new world. I think also taking a step back to take a breath. It's not on that go, go, go cycle in the wheel of I have to continue to be doing things. Everyone had to go into their homes and kind of step back from things and take a moment to take a breath. And I think that's such a valuable thing. And I think I'm hoping that this is a way we think of work changing. I hate words like employee boss. I hate the idea of work. I would love for us to rethink about building intentional organizations and communities where we're actually not looking to centralize ourselves just around profit and revenue, but and I feel like COVID brought us together in that way in some degrees. And so it's really taught us how to rethink and gave us a chance for change. And so we ended up adapting the 4-day work week and making certain decisions around how to protect our team from, the unfortunate factors of where revenue can go, and really try to redefine it for ourselves. And on the recruiting factor, I think it opened up a new way of us thinking, we should step into our own. We should really take advantage of how we want to treat people and humans, regardless of titles and positions and all that crap they teach you on the business side, right? We're humans at the end of the day. We all want to be happy and find joy in our lives, purpose. And, the recruitment process is now really about connecting with humans in that way and finding the right people through that process and building and taking the new platform where COVID has created for all of us to rethink our lives. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so to give some context, so the feedback when Aman and I had the prep call for this panel discussion, I was like, oh, that's so awesome that you guys are doing 4-day work weeks. And that's something that we at Beacon have been wanting to experiment with for a little while, but it was interesting to hear the story of how you've evolved to embrace this hyper flexible model for your team. And the conversation we had, I was like, are you are you shining a spotlight on that? Are you telling that story in your job ads? Are you telling that story in any of your recruitment marketing content that's going out? Which is another, I agree with you. I think COVID in a way has given us this platform as employers to further differentiate ourselves. And Amanda, I'm curious if there's anything that Thinkific has done from a recruitment marketing sense to really shine that spotlight on how you're taking care of your team members, and how that has changed your recruitment efforts.
Yeah, I think we've seen quite a drastic change in our recruitment efforts. I think they were great to begin with, but I think they're way better now. We really kind of wanted to take a people first approach and to really be able to tell our story. So one of the things that we did early on, and I remember sending this to Kira and she's like, this is awesome, was we actually started showcasing like what types of things we were doing to help support our team in light of the pandemic. Actually talking through what onboarding have looked like and sharing the stories of our team members that did get onboarded in the midst of a pandemic. We started to really understand, I think along the way, like some of those challenges of
Oh, I've lost Amanda, I lost audio for a second.
Sorry, no worries. Yeah, what
We're back.
is we really started to kind of think about, like, as someone that's looking for a job that may have been laid off, that may not have been wanting to look for a job at the time, like what are those challenges? So part of what we did was, one, sharing a lot more blogs and stuff about what we're doing for our internal team to know that, help people know that our team was secure and that we were growing and we were in a really good spot if they were looking to make a change. But I think also changing our process a little bit, where at every step of the way now we actually link to articles about what to expect at that stage, what that looks like. And the feedback we've got has been amazing. People are like, this has removed a lot of my anxiety going into interviews. We've made a lot more accommodations along the way and really personalized a lot of our messaging, especially when it came to rejections, when you have to say no or not right now for this role, really making them a lot more human and a lot more personable, and being a lot more willing to give feedback to really help people find that next opportunity.
Mm-hmm. How do you all find the time to to give everyone feedback and to add that human touch? Has your recruitment process changed?
I think primarily the process changes was just including a lot more access to the content that we created to like basically help our potential candidates like self-serve and find that information and really help set them up for success leading into those stages. I think the other thing we did was give a little bit more grace to both the candidates and ourselves. We used to pride ourselves on having like a 3-day response time for different things, but I think the reality of a pandemic is there's a lot going on that's not realistic, and especially if we're doing any sort of take-home tests or any sort of correspondence with a candidate, they may also be feeling that stress and that burden of like having a lot going on. So we ended up switching it to kind of more of a 5-day response time, which kind of is still timely, but a little bit more flexible for both our recruiters and our candidates.
It allows you to give that extra human touch for them. That's great. Okay, Min, back to Clio. I'm curious if Clio, or as you're recruiting your team, if your communication strategy or your messaging or any of your recruitment marketing or the recruitment process itself has changed in the last few months.
Question. I think in terms of, I know that our messaging and communications externally has changed to actually reflect that we're looking at this distributed by design nature, which means we're going remote first, not remote only, and then the flexibility that has for both, yourself as the employer, but also the employee looking at the job descriptions, and then in terms of the process itself, in terms of the recruitment. So far, we've actually kept things fairly consistent, but I would say like the process itself hasn't changed, but the communication points have changed. So to clarify a little bit more, I think, I'm spending a little bit more time as a hiring manager to reach out to candidates and touch base. So, there's definitely, Amanda, you were kind of saying, hey, there's some anxiety, or, we don't know what people are going through, and it is a hard time. And we actually have acquired some really good talent from from positions that people have been laid off from, for instance, right? So how do we communicate with them kind of every step of the way? So as a hiring manager, I'm spending extra time explaining what the process will look like and reiterating that. I'm keeping in very close contact with our talent acquisition team to make sure that we're really in close loop, and they're also reaching back and forth to that candidate constantly throughout the process, so they feel like they're being held and heard. And then, they usually have a direct line of communication with me. So if they do have questions, let's say on the case component, they can readily ask those things. So I think it's just more about increasing and dialing up the amount of empathy on the communication side, but our process itself hasn't changed too much unless we're getting feedback, and then we change things up if we need to on a case-by-case basis.
Awesome, thank you. Aman, so your team now has this hyper flexible model. They have the option to work a 4-day work week. You are shining a spotlight on that in some of your recruitment marketing. Has the day-to-day feeling or the work, has what it means to be an employee at Procurify changed? Has the story changed since the pandemic started?
Yeah, maybe I'll just on the word employee. While I'm here and people may or may not listen, I'm on a mission to eliminate employee and boss. I kind of mentioned to you that the idea, the 19th industrial revolution, they created these terms by some rich dudes who today we wake up in their framework of how to live our lives. And so I just want to try and eliminate that framework out of our world. So our team members and team, we've really tried to focus and adapt and figure out like our vulnerable state. Like, we're going to make mistakes. We have truly a mission to care about each other in a community of people without egos. And through COVID, it did really help even me personally reflect, how are we really investing our time intentionally through inclusion, through the idea of people's health and well-being, mental state of mind, and really try to make intentional decisions around this. It's still challenging. We're not going to fake it. We're not polished. We have so much to learn and grow. But our mission is true to our integrity. We really have realized we want to step more into our authentic selves of who we are and really build from there and continuously learn from our challenges of what we're not doing well and how to get better. I'm just so grateful for the team to coming together and banding together during this time. Mm-hmm. We did do a small layoff during the time when we were stuck with our board on like what kind of decisions can we make because we don't know where revenue and everything is going to go. And it was amazing to see the team actually come together to not do the actual layoff because everyone took a 20% cut inside the organization. And we actually went down to a 4-day working week. And then we brought everyone back to full in July and then kept the 4-day work week and said, how do we continuously drive this meaningful change into our lives to really protect ourselves in this community we're trying to build? So mm-hmm. I can say that there's so many learning lessons. I think being authentic and trying to learn from your mistakes and being honest about and transparent to the organization about what mistakes you're making and what you're really trying to do and why you're really trying to create this organization, I think really brings people together in a meaningful way.
What have you learned around, I'm going to say performance or productivity?
Fair. Great question. I think we're learning to understand the idea of like really focusing on the goal setting and outcomes are what's most important. I hate hours. I hate the idea that, whether it's 1 day or 5 days, none of that really matters. It's the outcomes you're trying to achieve. And I think there's great systems. We're trying to leverage those systems. But I can tell you, everyone is working just as hard with 4 days as they were with 5 days. Like, people care and they want to make an effort. And if you can give them the right outcomes to focus on that, they're trying to achieve from, it's value. And for them, it's being clear about where do they have to go? What are we trying to achieve? Making sure they have all the framework and structure to achieve that for performance mm-hmm. side. But I'm definitely driven towards more of the outcome focus versus the activity focus.
Mm-hmm. Amanda, do you have your perspectives at Thinkific changed around, and again, I'm going to say productivity or performance?
Yeah, I think we've really just been encouraging our team to be gentle with themselves. And I think similar to Aman, it's been more about focusing on like the goals and kind of like the outcome. We've really been encouraging our people leaders and our team members to be open and transparent about where they're at. We know this is a time, especially when you often can't connect with the people you usually, where anxiety and stress are at an all-time high. It's really easy when you're working from home to not be able to kind of know when to disconnect and go into overdrive a little bit. So I think for us, like we've always had flexible work hours. We've really been encouraging our team to take breaks, to manage their time effectively, especially with a lot of parents. We have a lot of new dog owners too at the company. So just really encouraging them to kind of find a schedule that works for them, say no to things that they don't have the time for, and set more realistic expectations, and really making sure that our people leaders are able to help them effectively do that as well.
Yeah, parents supporting working parents right now is just, I have so much, my heart goes out to any parent who is trying to work and parent and homeschool. It's a really challenging time. What are your and maybe Amanda, I'll start with you again. What are your companies doing to support working parent or dog parents?
Yeah, so we're very fortunate. We have kind of like an unlimited vacation policy and really flexible work hours. So we've just really been leveraging our team, like the importance of taking time to disconnect. I think our COO has been really pivotal in a lot of this. She keeps reminding us every single week, like it's a marathon, not a sprint. So really slow down. She does awesome weekly updates to kind of recalibrate the whole company about like what the priorities are, and really kind of recognizing that you need to take care of yourself. And I know my team lead is always telling me like, you're no good to us if you're dead. So making sure that you're disconnecting. Yeah. So we're really encouraging people to disconnect, to take time off, to make sure that they're planning for some of these bigger life events that might be happening, and really supporting them through that. We've been doing a lot more kind of like cross training and stuff to make sure that, and documenting our processes so that when people do take time off, they don't feel that weight of, you know, shoot, I have so much work leaving, or I'm going to have so much work coming back, that it's a really easy, and removing that guilt from it is ultimately a lot of it.
Min, how about you? How about Clio? How are you supporting parents or dog parents specifically?
Yeah, it's so it's such a crazy time, right? And home life are blending together. So, you know, we actually created separate groups and forums where, you know, parents can actually have conversations as well and feel supported from other parents, and, you know, leverage the internal Clio network in that way. And then, you know, in terms of just how like the leadership and executive team have kind of distilled that message down to like all of the people managers that are really looking after, you know, their teams, is that it's like, we have to have a lot of empathy during this time. We have to trust our employees. Like we're all trying to do a good job, and we love what we do, right? That's why we're here. So it's about maintaining the flexibility of and having empathy. So, you know, in some meetings, like some people do have their kids with them, and, you know, sometimes people have to step away for a minute or two to deal with something. And, you know, that's all become a bit more normalized today, because, you know, it's just it's a fact of life, and understanding that, you know, this is where we are. We look at other things that we can do in times of stress for employees. So, you know, we do check in regularly on, you know, is this actually affecting like your own personal and mental health at this time, and providing additional resources for, you know, wellness that, you know, whether that be sort of within a wellness package that is provided to them through their, you know, counseling program that we have at Clio, or sometimes I check in, and I like as a manager have been giving, you know, meal vouchers or stuff like that to employees when I know that they're really stressed and strapped. But, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on really keeping close tabs on the people you manage today, especially parents, because it's just so hard, right?
Mm-hmm. And are you finding our team members, are they taking vacation, or are they starting, now that we're almost done the year, are they starting to think about, okay, let's get something booked in so I've got something to look forward to?
That part's been fascinating because you think that people would take more holidays, but I feel like everyone's so anxious that I've actually had to reiterate people for my team to actually take vacations, and it's company wide. We've had to actually reiterate, and the CEO has reiterated in a town hall to say it's really important to sharpen your axe. Please take your vacations. Let's get them in, and also enabling flexibility. So if people can't take some vacation this year, to be able to roll it over into the next year, where in previous years maybe the allocation looked a little different. But I've been encouraging my team to start looking at vacations a little differently. So maybe you're not going to go to Spain or Italy, but you're going to go, locally on a camping trip, and you're going to take a weekend, or just have a staycation.
Yeah, beautiful BC. Woohoo! We're so lucky to be here. Aman, anything to add? Anything else? Anything interesting that Procurify is doing to support their team members, not employees, team members?
Appreciate that. Honestly, I think it's just about making sure we're everyone's bringing the empathy concept, and that's it's true. It's just how we act in our day that's so important, that we respect each other with compassion and love. And maybe those aren't words that feel good in business sense, but I think we have to let go of that and really again get back to that human nature. And so just the idea that we're all going to focus on knowing that we're here for each other and be transparent and vulnerable about everything going on. Also did an independent audit, which I really appreciated, for diversity and inclusion. And that was a really meaningful step for us to really get clear about the actions we need to take internally in the organization, to step up our respect to the nature of what that means. And so I think just overall, just being, again, intentional and conscious about the decisions we're making. And again, we're all human and we're all going through the same journey right now. And that's what's bringing us together. And just making sure we're aware and bringing it up constantly, to see how to deal with it and manage it together.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask this question to whoever wants to go first. In being empathetic, and I'm hearing you're being superhuman with your team, what happens if somebody is maybe for several days, if they're lacking productivity, or if their performance is not as strong on an ongoing basis? What steps are you taking to tackle that?
Fundamentally, we're just having very real conversations with our team. I think the one thing that the pandemic has done has kind of removed, I guess, some of that, those sentiments around you can't talk about your mental health and you can't talk about that in the workplace. And I think we just made it a lot easier for our team members to talk about what's really going on with them. I know we've had a handful where, anxiety and, not being able to have those social ties has really impacted our team members, and they're not productive, and because they're not happy. They don't have those things that tend to bring them joy in their lives as much. And I think a lot of the time, our people leaders have really helped to coach them. And it's been the conversations of, well, what sort of accommodations do you need to be able to do your best work? Do you want to work half days? Do you want to take a week off? Actually, take the next few days off. Don't worry about the work. It'll be here when you get back, but focus on yourself and what sort of resources can we provide to help support you through this? What do you need from us? And it's really coming from that place of caring and offering help and support versus, you're not meeting expectations and here's what we need you to do, and just kind of saying, let's put a pause on this and figure out how we can work together to make sure that your needs are satisfied. And fundamentally, in the end, then we can work together to support each other once you've returned or you're at the level that you feel comfortable working at.
Thank you. And I appreciate those talking points. I'm going to write those down. Anyone, Aman or Min, is there any other approach that you're taking with your team members?
It's really similar in terms of actually taking more time to listen. And it comes from a place of trust, right? So people are, if there's something going on, it's actually not related to the work directly. And so it's how do we actually help you? And then sometimes we've actually just more recently redistributed work a little bit within the team. And what's really, really amazing with this is that, we care as people for one another. And so when you're transparent about how things are going for you, we've actually ended up taking parts of the work that you're doing and incorporating it into multiple broader teams or others, and be able to redistribute or reallocate it, or sometimes relook at it, because it actually seemed to be actually require that in some cases. So yeah, it's been really great to also see people step up for their team members during this time. When you speak up about what's going on that side. So
awesome, thanks. Aman, anything to add?
A good transparency from my side. The performance thing is a very interesting thing, because obviously you need an organization to run well, but it's not just about performance, about trust and about the ability for individuals to have the right stage to grow from. So I think leadership is such a critical thing, and how how the leaders support that. And Min and Amanda brought up some great points around that, coaching and being transparent. But I'll always realize that at some degree I'll take some accountability for what happened inside the organization around performance, because at the root cause, it's like I know my own weaknesses and how it kind of distributes out throughout the organization. It's like a magnification on my own insecurities. It's crazy. But making sure that you respect and understand all these individuals are going through the same process of growth, and again, making sure that they have the right foundation so that they can step up and be coached with the right framework around performance. I think there's two types of leadership for me: demand excellence or inspire excellence. And how we try to move towards inspiring excellence is such a critical thing, and moving away from the idea of demanding that performance. I really am excited about how we can think about bringing organizations to more inspiring.
Oh, Aman, you froze on me for a sec, but you're back. Yeah, you're back. You're back. I don't know, but I think we're back. So it really sounds like I want to you're designing the workplace of the future here.
You're
I feel
still
like
there, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, I just don't see anybody else right now.
Okay, we're here. Can everyone else hear Aman?
Yep.
Do you see
and hear you? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, thanks. Okay, well, I'm just gonna try hitting refresh for a second.
Okay, no worries. Awesome. So let's, oh my gosh. Okay. I want to be mindful of time here. I think we've got a couple questions on the sidebar. So I want to get to those as well. So my final question for everyone, were there any big aha moments that you've had over the past several months through the pandemic that you'd like to share with everyone?
Kick us off on that. I mean,
Cool.
When something like a pandemic that you don't expect happens, you can feel a little bit dire, right? Sometimes, but what's been nuts is that it's actually been a crazy driver of opportunities and growth on so many levels. And I feel very grateful for that in a lot of ways. Like, it's brought people together. It's actually, in our case, accelerated the pace at which our business is actually moving. And yeah, it's actually created it's just created more opportunities than not. So that's the big aha from our side, or from my side on that.
Cool. Thank you. Amanda?
Yeah, I think for me, the first thing that I can think of is really the resiliency of our team overall. I know, there's a lot of distributed companies out there, and our team, for the most part, chose to work with us because they wanted to be in office. They wanted to be around other people. And really just kind of getting through that crunchy part initially of switching to being apart and having to learn new ways of creating relationships and building connection, and really finding new ways to work. We had to switch whiteboards to online and having to adapt and learn new tools. I think the resiliency of our team was a big one. And just the sheer growth that we've seen and how our company has even adapted to that. The fundamentals of our culture have stayed the same as we've grown and as we've shifted online. I think I was looking at the numbers. We've effectively doubled our company since this time last year. And by next year, we're adding another 350 team members. So we're growing quite a bit, and every new person that's joined the company has been able to add something amazing and really helped us grow in new ways into things and we never thought was possible. So it's just been really amazing to see the growth and the resiliency of our team.
Awesome. Aman, any final ahas that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, always have good internet nowadays. That's an interesting one for us to all figure out.
Yeah.
No, I really respect and appreciate even Clio and Thinkific, just what's been created for the community and how everyone's evolving to support the teams and the environment and finding great people. And I think the more, Nicole, I really appreciate you creating this part of the organizational conversation so we can just bring this out more and bring more awareness to the changes that are happening and how to, bring and formalize it to something meaningful as we grow. So, just it's been an amazing thing to see how we all band together when difficult change is faced as a global thing and seeing us all kind of band and resolve to new ways of thinking. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, that's been pretty inspiring, I have to say, seeing our Vancouver tech ecosystem rally and come together and supporting each other has been really cool. Okay, great. We've got 2 questions and then we're going to wrap up. So thank you so much for all of your insights and learning so far. The first question is from Michael. And Michael, I'm wondering if you could clarify for us. I think what you're asking is, you're talking about, what do you think about the supply of talented labor from higher education as it's hurting now and there's attrition? And I'm curious, maybe I'm going to jump to the next question while you could clarify, but I'm just wondering, are you asking, are we not taking enough advantage of talent from higher education? Is that somewhere that we should be actively or proactively pulling and building talent community from? I'm going to let you clarify that. Yes? Okay, that's right. Yeah. So maybe if anyone could comment on Michael's question around recruiting from higher education.
Question. Because I feel like, I guess to clarify it a little bit further, it's also, these are recent graduates that are leaving programs and might not be in the workforce today, but would be excellent additions. I certainly am looking at those as a hiring manager in my process, so that's one thing, and I certainly hope that that's consistent with others. I think it's definitely probably a lot of anxiety with those candidates right now, because you're competing with someone that might have direct relevant experience that's very recent. But I have seen those applications come through, and I actually have accepted those applications and provided offers on those, and having some empathy and flexibility even within their school timing. So I think it's just how is the fit of this person in the company? Can we actually support them to help them thrive? And yeah, I hope that's not a consistent thing that we see across all tech companies, because we certainly look at the candidates, not just in terms of where their education's at, but.
I think to just follow with what Min said too, because I saw your comments, Michael. I think it really kind of depends on the roles that you're hiring for. I think for the most part at Thinkific, a lot of the roles we're hiring for are quite technical. It's engineers, it's product managers, it's product designers. I think where I've seen a lot of applicants, knowing that I'm hiring for talent acquisition and that I've been growing my people ops team, I have seen a lot of people apply with backgrounds from different schools and universities. And I would say if it's those types of roles where the skills are very transferable, it might just be a different industry. It's obviously a great place to be hiring from, especially being a similar educational type space to us. But I think it really comes down to the role and what we're hiring for. And we're open to all applications as long as the skills are transferable.
Great, thank you. And the final question from Maddie, when if the world goes back to normal, oh my gosh, let's say when, what, if anything, has changed in the HR and recruitment space, or what will have changed forever?
I think I love doing video interviews to some extent. I find it, I don't know, I find it a lot easier to manage kind of taking my notes and being on video. I love that aspect of it. I think to some extent too, I think a lot of companies are going to stay with that kind of really flexible, like distributed type approach where it's not going to be your usual 9 to 5 in office positions anymore. I think that's kind of hopefully gone and dead. I've wanted that for a long time. So I think that just that real flexibility between how people do their work, the tools and resources available to them to do that, and just continuously having that people first mentality are things that won't change.
Aman?
Yeah, I would say two specific things, especially around what I'm seeing on the HR and recruitment side. Global talent has become now localized. I think it's been hyper active in just moving into the direction of now looking at the global talent pool to a more localized, place of where we can all think it's just right in front of us. And then what's brought that forward is I think technology has advanced really significantly. And I think we'll see actually even the new HR and recruitment platforms adjust and rethink how they're producing their products to be more of a distributed team, globalized to localized. I think these are going to be critical new tools that come out to support the changes that are happening.
Thank you. And Min, bring us home.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting as we continue being in this world that we are today, because the habits and changes will be more permanently ingrained in a lot of ways. And what's super interesting, I think, is that with Aman, what you're saying with global to local talent, we're going to see a lot more competition in this space in a lot of ways, right? We're going to be looking at top talent that is now going to be accessible by many companies around the world. And so what does that mean for HR and recruitment as we move forward? So I think that's super exciting, both as as a person working in the tech space, but also recruiting in the tech space. It's like, how are we going to elevate this for everyone involved? So yeah, we'll see what happens in that one, but it's going to be very interesting is all I can say.
Awesome. Well, big thank you to you three for taking time out and sharing all your learnings and insights. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've got some takeaways off the top of my head. We're all going to go out now. We're going to build amazing, diverse, global, distributed teams. We're going to continue to be super empathetic humans and leaders. We are going to focus on the outcome, and we're going to encourage our teams to go take vacation, or go at least book vacation, so you've got something to look forward to. So those were the top takeaways for me. I hope that you all got some that you can go back and work into your organizations as well. Beacon HR, we've got an offer in the sidebar. I think Maddie or Kira's going to drop in my Calendly link. I would love to give you a complimentary 15-minute job ad review. You can book directly into my calendar. So employers, if you're hiring now, I'd love to jam on recruitment marketing with you for that 15-minute block. Or if you're not growing right now, but you just want to get your ducks in a row, I'd be more than happy to chat. If there are any job seekers on the call right now, then make sure to check us out on our website. Our talent community is up to date. We've posted all of our jobs there. You can also connect with the Beacon team on LinkedIn, and make sure to go check out all of these wonderful companies' job careers pages and talent communities. They're all hiring, and they're all hiring a lot. So go check it out, and please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat and help where I can. Thanks again to all of our panelists and the Vancouver Startup Week team. Y'all are awesome, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and a wonderful week.